Morning, everyone. Welcome to another This Might Hurt. Happy Tuesday. So, how is it going? How was your Monday? Mine was good. I had a few hiccups, but it's a Monday. What are you gonna do? I was while we're shuffling, I was listening to Scorched Earth Tarot this morning. She does a weekly weekly energies, and I've listened to it a couple times, and I usually do listen to things a couple times. And she was telling a story about her cat being in the loft and how she could let the cat out, but that she would prefer that the cat find its way out the way it found its way in. And I was thinking how metaphoric that was over my own situation, and how I want to let the cat in, but the universe is telling me to let the cat find its way out the way it found its way in. So interesting. Anyway, guys, when you watch readings or watch things or whatever, pay attention to the other things too, right? It's not just the reading. It's the metaphors and the things that jump out at you during the thing, right? Anyway, just thought I'd share that. So let's get started with today's energy. What is today's energy? Death card, transformation. I like this for us. I like this. It's the death of the old and coming into the new, right? But when we do transform, guys, when we transform, like let's even talk about substance use, right? Like I'm a substance use counselor. I tell my clients all the time, you have to mourn the person that was in active addiction because that person kept you alive to be in recovery today. And so we honor, we thank, and we mourn the old person that we were. And I feel like that's what this is, right? Because it almost looks like a funeral. And then we have to say goodbye, right? Like yesterday in the reading we were talking about with the Five of Cups, just making room for the new things, right? But there's that mourning period in between, that grief period in between. And we have to kind of give ourselves some time to let the old version of us go. I like that. I like that for us. To the Queen of Pentacles. So we haven't seen her yet. She looks kind of sassy. I kind of like her. Pentacles all about our resources, right? I don't often see this as money, but I see it as our time, energy, and attention. And the Queen knowing what to do with it, right? So the King would manage those finances or those energies well, but the Queen knows not only where to get them, but how to make them, how to stretch them, right? So you think about it. When I was growing up, my dad, he would go to the grocery store and just buy what we needed, no big deal. My mom would use coupons, right? So she understood the long-term maybe that my dad didn't necessarily, but very resourceful, right? Very resourceful and very domestic, very mom energy, very divine feminine energy with this, and understanding how to stretch that pentacle out into what we need it to do. So this might be with your energy, right? How can I manage my time and get the most out of the finite amount of energy I have throughout the day? Like, so I started back school this week, and I'm kind of doing that. I'm kind of trying to work my schedule where I can go to school full-time, work full-time, manage to fit in a therapy appointment or two, and still not be burnt out for my clients, right? So figuring those kind of things out, which requires a level of transformation, right? I have to put the student hat back on, if you will. Let's keep going. We've got the Ace of Cups. So a new way of thinking about love, a new way of thinking about your emotions. Maybe you've been contemplating something. In yesterday's reading, we were talking about contemplation, and I'm trying to think of what card it was that we were talking about that, but the pause, right? And I feel like this is just something new starting. Maybe maybe you've learned to temper your emotions. Maybe you've learned to give to yourself first, right? Which is ultimately what we should be doing. We can't be pouring from an empty cup, but we can give the spillover to whomever it is we need to give it to. But this is a new way of looking at our emotions, our love, our energy, those things that are heart-related. Yeah. There's a lot of blue in here, but the blue and green hues tell me that it's that throat chakra and heart chakra expressing. Maybe it's a new way of expressing your emotions. Maybe you figured out, maybe you finally just learned to name an emotion. Yeah, that's possible. A lot of my clients can't name their emotions. They have no idea what their emotions are because they've hidden them for so long. Let's keep going. Empress. I like that nurturing mom energy. And I like this. Usually the Empress is pregnant, but she's not. I mean, at least not visibly, right? She maybe at the very beginning of the pregnancy where, and when I talk about pregnancy in the tarot, I'm thinking like something that takes a while to come to fruition, right? That doesn't have to be a baby in your belly necessarily, but it could be an idea that you're kind of brewing and gestating, if you will, before it comes to fruition. We went from the 1 to the 3. So we've got odd numbers and we've got the 1 and the 3 here. Right. So, and I don't know, is the Queen a 13? No, I think she's a 12. But either way, so we've got these 1s and 3s, all odd numbers from the numbers that are visible. And I believe it was a friend of mine that said odd numbers are very logical, even numbers are very emotional in numerology. So like I'm an even number and the people around me are odd numbers and they're never going to understand me. So although it's a very emotional reading, there's some logic to be had here, right? Think about what these things are, what they mean to you, the transformation, the resourceful, I was going to say resourceful person about resources, but that's kind of redundant, right? But the person who knows how to manage resources and how to get resources, not just manage them. To the new way of thinking about your emotions, maybe naming new emotions, and then new ideas that are just kind of gestating. Because as we change, guys, and as we think about things a new way, then new ideas start to pop into our head. And it takes time. It takes time for us to introduce ourselves to the idea, to bat the idea around a little bit, to develop and gestate that idea. Love that. Love that for us. What's the advice? What's the advice for all of this? Advice. Oh, we got lots of advice, but we're going to go through it kind of quick. We're at 7 minutes. So Hanged Man in the reverse. So maybe look at things the way they used to be, right? 2 of Cups in the reverse. 2 of Cups. Make that decision about your emotions. This is a very emotional reading. Make the decision about your emotions, right? Decide on something and then look at your resources in a new way, right? So go back to the way you used to think and kind of go back to basics. Go back to the basics. Make the decision, right? 2's about decisions. Just making the decision. Make the decision about what the emotion is, what you want, what you need, what you're going to do to move forward from that gestated idea, and then do it. And then do it. I love it. I love that for us. What we don't see coming at the bottom of the deck is the closing of a cycle, the world. All of the fixed signs represented here. All of the elements represented here. The snake, and the perpetuation of cycles with, there's a word for that, and I don't know what it is. And then if we go back to the 21 card, we're back to an odd number card, right? And the number 1, odd number card. We do have the 2, but it's in the reverse, and the 12 that are in the reverse. So interesting, our 2s are in the reverses. Well, no, not all of them. Not with what's coming with the 21. But odd numbers, right? So odd numbers up, even numbers down. I don't know, that maybe is a thing for you, but maybe look into it. Lots of 13s, which reduce to a 4, which would be stability, right? And then what we don't see coming is the 21, which reduces to a 3. And I always mess that up, but I'm pretty sure that 3 is a divine number. And for me, 3s are all about community. So, stability and then getting back to your community. If you wanted to read this from a numerological perspective. But great reading today. I love it. It didn't hurt too much. Take care, and we will chat tomorrow.